I'm live. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, put that back. Hi guys, welcome back to Lockdown After Dark. As you can obviously tell, there was a change in guest, but I am absolutely buzzing with tonight's guest. So anyone that was here for the previous guest, sorry, but we've got the amazing Dakota Blue coming up in just a second. First of all, I just want to give a shout out. Honestly, like, the cocktails that I'm getting at the minute is just unreal. So I've received a little package today from Letterbox Cocktails. Got a little note, and they sent me these. They sent me three different cocktails. I will upload the pictures tomorrow on my story, and they send, like, I've obviously poured it, but look at this. Junebug. Oh my god, are you actually having a laugh? Look how insane it is. So I will tag them in this post and I will put everything on my story tomorrow. So thank you so much, Letterbox Cocktails. I also have a giveaway coming up with them soon for a very special guest I've got in March. But yeah, cheers, little Junebug. That's lovely. Lovely. So yeah, I'm going to get Dakota in just a few seconds. And thanks guys for coming on a little bit later with me today. You got to do what you got to do. And yeah, also I did just the danger of getting cocktails to your house. I was trying to get ice out and cut my hand, so that's not good. Okay, let's get Dakota in. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, same request. Dun, dun, dun. Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You look amazing.
Thank you.
You
I
look
was
great.
rushing to get ready.
Oh my god, no, you look like you're going out. I love it.
Well, this is going out for me now,
Well,
so
yeah,
pretty much.
literally dressed up with nowhere to go
Exactly.
is our life. How's your day been?
It's actually been fantastic. I met the dog I'm about to adopt today.
Oh,
Just, he's perfect. I'm so happy.
what is it?
Well, he's a rescue dog. I can't remember what sort of breed he is, but he's massive. He's 9 months old, and when he's fully grown, he's going to be bigger than me. Like way more than me. Yeah. Which is so exciting.
Oh, and why did he get, like, why is he a rescue dog? What happened to his...
I don't really know much about his backstory yet. I know that he wasn't born in this country, so he must have been brought here at some point. But yeah, he's like a gentle giant, and I'm so in love with him, and I've
Oh,
probably about half an hour with him total.
has he got a name? You named him?
Well, he has a name already. He's called Luther, which I think is pretty cool. It's a,
Oh, that's a good name. Because
yeah.
normally, if you rescue a dog, they're called, like, Sally, and it's like, it doesn't work.
I know. Well, I had a dog who really was like the love of my life until very recently, and I was very, very sad about it when he passed. But his name was Pete, and we didn't name him either. That was just the name he
Oh,
came with. I tried so hard to get him to respond to literally anything else, and he never would. So he was just Pete.
Pete's cute. We can go with Pete. Pete's better than Sally.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am so excited for our chat this evening. Um, for anyone that's watching that doesn't know you, we're gonna create a nice timeline for them. Start way back at the beginning. So if you can tell us a little bit about how your home life was, how school was growing up for you.
Wow. Gosh. Okay. I mean, nobody ever asks about that. It's funny.
Really, I'm
Yeah.
so stuff like that.
Well, I think people's interview questions always start when your career starts, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares who you were before you started working.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know how to sum up my childhood. I'm an only child from a single parent family.
Mm.
Grew up in Brighton, and yeah, I moved about a lot. Well, I moved schools a lot, but we always stayed in the same house. So yeah, I was here and there a lot as a child. I kind of grew up halfway between Brighton and London with my grandma.
Oh, I love Brighton. I haven't been to Brighton in forever.
Well, when nights out are a thing again, Brighton is the place to be.
Yeah, I think I've been out in Brighton once. I've been to Oceana. Is Oceana still there?
I think
This was
I
like
don't think it's called Oceana anymore, but it's equally awful. Whatever is there instead.
okay. Well, we're going out when we can. When
Okay.
you show me the good places. So did you before we get to your acting, right, did you know from a young age that acting was something you wanted to do, or did you kind of fall into it?
I knew it was something I enjoyed.
Mm.
I was always kind of creating characters and uh, kind of living in those roles for extended periods of time, which I think was maybe concerning for my mum. Uh, and I always wanted to be involved whenever there was a school show on or something like that. But I never considered acting to be a realistic career path.
Mm.
I was actually set for quite a long time on being a vet, which
Oh,
I don't understand now because I'm definitely not smart enough to be a
yeah.
vet. So yeah, going into a line of work where you need no qualifications definitely suited me better. But yeah, I just kind of became an actor by surprise and then clung to it for dear life.
So if you hadn't have done acting, let's say that wasn't even a thing,
Mm.
and obviously you said you potentially wanted to be a vet, what do you reckon you would have ended up doing?
I think realistically, I probably would have followed in my mum's footsteps a little bit. My mum has always worked in the charity sector, and
Oh,
so she works for organisations that provide all sorts of different services. At the moment, she's working in the field of like domestic abuse, so that's definitely something that I could see myself doing. I think,
mm,
you know, I'd like to feel like I was making a difference and to have a real cause. That's
yeah,
not something you always get in acting. Sometimes, not very often.
yeah, I love that. I think I would like to do something like that. I feel like it's so nice to be able to give back sometimes, and it's so rewarding when you see a little bit of work, how much that can the massive impact that can have on someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, I just wouldn't be able to step away from it. I think I would be so consumed because I feel like I'd be emotionally attached to everything, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's always hard, regardless of what you do. If you're really passionate about it, it's hard to kind of leave it behind at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't do that. Okay, so let's forward on to 13-year-old you. 2007, um, the Golden Compass hit screens everywhere. Now, I remember that film and I absolutely loved it. So I can't imagine what it must have been like to be in it. So let's talk about that. How was the audition process for that, and how did you find that? Were you signed with an agent at that age?
So no, I had no connection to the film industry whatsoever when I auditioned. It was open auditions, which means anybody could have gone. 10,000 young girls went, and uh, I honestly think there was a great deal of luck involved with
Mm,
my getting that part because to make an impression out of a group of 10,000 is I don't really know that you can necessarily. I think it's just
yeah,
coming into the room at the right time when, yeah, I don't know, just capturing people's attention for like a split second and
mm,
hoping enough to stay in their minds. And then after that initial audition, there was quite a long, drawn out process of recalls and there were a couple of different directors that were on board at different stages. So meeting them, meeting the producers, meeting Philip Pullman, um, and then eventually getting the part, which was surreal.
And during the audition process, where how much did they tell you? Were you sort of like, do you know what, I think I can get this, or did you just sort of, was it like pinch me every time?
I went into every stage of the audition process thinking it would be the last time I was involved in it.
Mm.
I really thought I just felt lucky to be there at every point, and kept thinking, okay, but this is probably it now. I won't make it to the next round. And then it was just surprised every time that I did. And I do remember my mum said something, I think after I got the part, she told me this, that she knew that I was being seriously considered, because when I arrived at one of the recalls, there were maybe 3 girls or so coming in front of me, and they asked them all to like sign in basically. And when I turned up, they greeted me and knew my name. And
Oh,
she was like,
wow.
so I know you've made an impression on them. But I don't think she told me that because she didn't want to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Um,
Mad at that young age to stand up against that many girls. And like you said, it yeah, probably was down to luck a little bit as well, but
oh,
also like you're obviously extremely talented and they could see that. So not, you got to give yourself that.
oh, thank you.
What was it like? Obviously, you were working with Nicole Kidman, with Daniel Craig, like some huge stars. Did you know they were on the film, or did you find out once you'd got it? And how was it working alongside them?
So I believe I was the first person to be cast. I don't know if they were kind of in talks with other actors before I was confirmed, but I was the first person to be confirmed cast. And so that, I mean, that was kind of an overwhelming and surreal moment to think that I was going to be in this film. And then it just kept getting weirder with every name they then presented to me, saying, oh, by the way, Nicole Kidman's also in it. I was like, are you serious? And meeting everyone was terrifying. When
Mm.
I walked into the room to meet Nicole Kidman for the first time, I was shaking. I was so nervous. But I think it's, I've met a lot of people in the course of my career, and I think the real difference of meeting somebody in those circumstances is that you're all there for the same thing. It's not like
Yeah.
meeting, being starstruck. It's like, I'm meeting you, and I'm not on your level, but we're part of the same thing, and we have a shared goal now. And so it's very different as an experience than just kind of bumping into somebody and being like, oh, you were in that thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're both on the same job, it's working. Just a question about Nicole Kidman. Does she smell nice? Because I just feel like when I look at her, I think,
Oh my god. Okay, so this is like one of my, yeah, she smells divine. This is
no.
one of my most kind of visceral memories of making Golden Compass, is how fantastic she smells. She smells like Parma violets.
I knew she'd smell nice. I just knew it.
And also, and I don't want to speak inappropriately, but I was at an age where I was a good height to be like right in her cleavage whenever she hugged me. So like it was an immersive experience.
Yeah, I mean, you got a great first acting role, and you also got that. So winning,
Yeah,
absolutely winning.
not many people can say they've been there.
No, no, they can't. That is insane. I just think, yeah, that is incredible. Now, how was your time on the film? Obviously, being so young, it was an open audition for you. You've really done something like this before. How did you navigate yourself through the film and through rehearsals and stuff like that? And did you feel like you had a lot of support from the cast and crew? Oh, April's popped in.
Oh,
Hey.
hi. Yeah, I feel like I had loads of support actually. I think I was incredibly fortunate all the way through that experience to be surrounded by people who really had um, my interests at heart as well as the films. Uh,
Yeah.
so I was really well protected, really well looked after by the producers and by all the crew. It was like a fantastic crew, and also I had my mum with me on set every day. So
Oh,
yeah, so I was never without her, and my mum is my rock. So
oh,
yeah, that was really nice. Can I just ask something very quickly before
yeah.
we move on? So I have a cup of tea and a glass of wine. Which one should I be drinking?
Glass of wine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're out tonight. It's not night out.
I just wanted to make sure I was like gauging the tone right.
Yeah, I've got a June bug, so we're on the same page.
Perfect.
Um, that is amazing that your mum was there for you, like that, to
Mm-hmm.
share such a huge moment with, and having your mum being there. Like, I mean, I do jobs now, and I feel like if my mum could, she would be there. She would be there watching, like, yeah, giving me notes. Probably love her. Um,
Yeah, I feel like yeah, there are instances where my mum probably would, although I think the novelty of being on a film set wore off pretty quickly for her.
yeah.
Um, she had to leave her job in order to come with me because the filming schedule was so intense that she wouldn't have been able to work through it and be there with me all the time. So so yeah, it was a big decision for her, and I probably didn't really appreciate it at the time, but looking
Mm,
back now, especially because like my mum's a workaholic, so
mm,
yeah, for her to just kind of be sitting there and her only job to be to look after me and make sure that I was, you know,
oh,
getting my education in and prepared for the next day and all the rest of it. That was a massive sacrifice for her, and I, you know, I'm really grateful for that.
oh, I love that. And how long were you filming? How long did it take to make the film?
So I believe the official shoot was 6 months.
Mm.
Um, so we started in the summer of 2006, I believe, and went up to about Christmas. And then we were unofficially shooting right up until a month before it premiered.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because we there were so many reshoots on it because they changed. Anyone who's a fan of the book will know that the story, the order of certain story events is different in the book than it is in the film. Um, that wasn't always the case. We did shoot things in the order that they happen in the book, and then for whatever reason they decided to kind of chop it and change it a bit, and so we had to keep coming back and like filling in the gaps and making sure that it still flowed properly.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so yeah, a lot of work.
God, they really got the work out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what during your time, what would you say if you could pick one? What would be your favourite memory from doing the job, and what has the job taught you?
From Compass specifically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, um, God, I don't know if there's a. I wouldn't say that my favorite memory of it is like a specific moment. It's
Mm,
more, I guess, like a feeling that I got from certain people. Um, I have real, just like vivid memories of Ava Green, her smile, which
mm,
like she was such a like warm, lovely person. Like she's
mm,
everything you want her to be, you know, and also like beautiful and mysterious and just like
mm,
fucking cool. Um, so like my memories of her are like really special to me. Oh, you know what actually is one of my favorite memories, and it's really got nothing to do with me, but there were a lot of like dinner parties during the shoot, and on one occasion, at the end of the dinner party, everyone was kind of saying goodbye, and my mum said goodbye to Sam Elliott, who is just phenomenal,
mm.
and and they both kind of leaned the same way and kissed on the mouth. I don't
Uh,
know if she'll appreciate me telling people this. And my mum was so kind of like shocked and terrified that it had happened, and just winked at her and went, "Gotcha," and it was perfect. And that memory is like one of
oh,
probably my favorite memory from that time. Uh,
oh, you remember a right good time on that film.
I know, right? Yeah.
Love that.
I think a lot of people would be very jealous
Yeah.
to hear that she'd, yeah, sneakily,
Oh.
sneakily got a kiss with Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Um,
And what main thing? What if you could pick one thing that being on that job taught you? What would you say it would be?
um,
I know that's a difficult question, but
I think it taught me. I think it taught me to believe in magic a little bit.
mm,
Um, the chances of something so momentous happening in my life,
mm,
it's still so absurd to me that this is the path that I ended up on.
mm,
Um, and as I said, there's a massive amount of that which is pure luck and
mm.
really nothing else. And so, yeah, it made me acutely aware that fantastic things can happen at any moment, and you never really know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And not to be closed off to those things.
Yeah. That was a good. That's a really good answer for that. Actually, people
Oh,
never answered with that. Love that. So obviously the end of that, and when that film came out, that just sort of absolutely threw you into industry, and you've obviously had an incredible career since. You did in 2008. You were the lead in Dustbin Baby.
mm-hmm.
Now, how was obviously the character in that is completely different to the character you played in Compass. How did you sort of, how was it playing a character like that? And how far was that character from you?
I feel like it came at quite a good time for me
Mm,
because I was a little bit older, so I think I was 14 when I did Dustbin Baby, and so a lot of the um, a lot of the teenage angst and and the rebelliousness of her character, who's called April, um, um, that was very I was very much in that place at that time,
mm,
and I guess there were other things that were relatable about it as well. Obviously, she was adopted, and I know that I'm not comparing the experience, but growing up in a single parent household, I think you do experience, especially in your early teens, that sense of like, well, who who are my parents? Like, who
mm,
are my, and where do I come from, and what does that say about me? Questioning
yeah,
your identity is relatable for a lot of people at that age. So yeah, so I guess it kind of came at a good time for me. But equally, I think there were things that I really related to about Lyra, and
mm,
um, so it was kind of nice that both of those moments tracked quite well with where I was
yeah,
at.
yeah. I think it helps the character then be quite authentic because you can actually tap into something that you understand. Um, and I think
Yeah,
that's important
exactly.
as well because we have to believe what we're watching, believe the character and the story. Um, I
Yeah.
mean, when you got that job, obviously Jacqueline Wilson is like absolute legend of the world. When you
Yeah.
got that job, what was sort of what was going through your head? Were you kind of were you like, oh my god, I'm going to be doing a TV adaptation, whatever that word is, of an incredible book? Like, what was sort of your thought process through that?
Well, I actually hadn't read Dustbin Baby before getting cast in that role. So so I first thing I did was to read the book, but I was obviously aware of Jacqueline Wilson, who isn't, and I had been a massive Tracy Beaker fan. So yeah, so it was exciting. But then I guess I'd kind of been there before with Philip Pullman, and you know, and Northern Lights being still one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
So you know, not to say that I was kind of old hat at that point, but I was getting more used to that experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting, and it was nice to do something that was modern, and few jobs that I'd done before were both fantasy, so it was
Yeah.
nice to do something a bit more grounded in reality.
Yeah. And how did you, obviously being 13 and 14, sort of going through those teenage years, how did you deal with the change of, you know, like people would knew who you were at this point? How did that, did you notice a big change in your life? Or did you sort of just, did you not really notice the difference?
Honestly, I don't think I really noticed that until I did Skins, because
Mm.
until that point,
Oh,
phenomenon of Golden Compass, people don't really look at children. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, oh, your cat is so cute. Okay. It's
You
like,
always get involved.
um, but yeah, like people in the street didn't really come up to me after Compass, because nobody's looking at a child in order to
Yeah.
recognize.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't really until I did Skins, which again was like so popular and viewed by so many people, but
Mm.
also that I was at an age where people were paying attention to me, and also the audience were at
Mm.
an age where they, you know, teenagers are always looking at each other in the
Yeah.
street. So of course it's more common to be recognized if people are kind of staring at you anyway.
Yeah. How old were you in Skins?
I was 16. I was actually 15 when I auditioned, which was kind of against the rules, but just turned 16 by the time we started filming.
And what was the difference? How was Skins different to anything you'd done before? I feel like everything you'd done previous had been quite magical, mystical when you'd been playing these roles, but then obviously Skins is like you can't hide behind anything in Skins because it's, you know, you bet role.
Yeah, so there were two kind of significant differences between that experience and anything that had come before it. One being the content, as you say, it was, yeah, it was totally different. It was much more adult themes, I guess. And the other part of it being that there's very strict child working laws in the UK, which mean that you have to be chaperoned. You're not allowed to work more than, I think, maximum 9.5 hours a day, and you have to have 3 hours of education within that. So to go from that to suddenly there's no limit to the hours they can work you.
Mm.
There's no limit to what they can ask you to do
Mm.
legally. Well, actually, no, that's not true. There are still limits if you're under 18, but
Mm.
significantly less than if you're under
Yeah.
16. And yeah, and just being totally alone. I
Mm.
lived by myself for the first time in my life at 16, and lived in a hotel for 2.5 years, which is massive. It's bizarre,
Yeah.
like, to be suddenly that independent, having,
Mm.
you know, having never really had much independence before at all, was yeah, it was a lot to get used to. And I think we all uh, went slightly mad. It was kind of like, you know, when you're a kid and somebody says like, "Oh, my parents are away for the weekend. Let's have a party at my
Mm.
house." It was like that, but every day. for 2 years.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was different.
The novelty wears off quite quickly, I imagine.
I, yeah, yeah, but that didn't slow us down. So
No, great, a great series. So, did you, previous to you getting Skins, when Skins came about, was it something you thought about in the sense of how different you knew it was going to be, with there being sort of like no limits as such? Did you think, could this have a different effect on my career I want to go after, or did that not really go through your head at that stage?
um, I knew that there would be some things that were challenging
Mm,
because I'd watched the show. I was a big
mm,
fan of the show, and so I knew that there would be things that would be difficult for me.
yeah,
But I think at that point, I was really excited about that because I thought it would be good for my career to show that I wasn't a child anymore, and
yeah,
I thought it would also be. I just looked up to the girls that were in it so much. April, in
mm,
particular, was like my idol when I was
mm,
watching the show. I loved her, and she was funny and sharp and like
mm,
sexy, beautiful, um,
mm,
but also like fragile and vulnerable. And I was like, yes, these are all the things that I not only that I want to be as a character, but that I want to be as a person.
yeah,
Uh, and I think my mum certainly was quite reassured when she realised what kind of a character I was going to be playing, because
yeah,
I wasn't the sexy one, and I wasn't the season 5 at least. I wasn't the person that had all the sex scenes. Season 2 was different. uh, but yeah, so I think she was quite reassured by the fact that I wasn't playing kind of an Effie role, for example.
yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh damn, I wanted to be the hot one.
I want all the sex scenes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think also I felt like I had a real point to prove
Mm,
um, because I wasn't like, I don't think I was ever considered the cool kid at school.
mm,
There's something kind of cool, I guess, about like, hey, I have a film career, but
mm,
aside from that, I was never the pretty girl. I was never the cool girl. I was never the intelligent girl. So I really wanted to like make my mark. I think people at that
mm,
age, like everyone's just trying to like poke a little hole in the world and be like, hi,
yeah,
look at um so yeah, so I and being in Skins was like the fucking coolest thing you could be at that point. So
yeah.
yeah, it was exciting.
I think as well, what you were just saying then about like proving a point and stuff. I think it's so common when you watch interviews with child stars that have got famous quite young, that
Mm.
they feel like they have to show that transition of, okay, I'm not the little child that I was in that film when I was 13. I'm now an older actor. I think that is important, because some people forget that, and some people are like, oh God, have you seen that actor doing that? And it's like, well, they are older, and that they aren't the same person they were. I
Yeah,
think that's an important transition to have,
yeah.
because people, when you watch someone on something young, you always remember them for that. You always think, oh God, remember she was this cute little thing in that. And I think it's so important. I
Yeah.
mean, everything you've done has been like so iconic. Like, I was just reading through earlier, and I was
Oh,
thinking, oh, like, like a huge film, right, with Nicole Kidman, and then she's done Skins, and I'm like, yeah, you're just like tick 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 tick. You're just
oh, well, clearly haven't watched everything I've done. I've done a lot of shit.
you got to do the shit to get through it. Now, a bit later on in your life, you were part of some quite big dramas, some ITV dramas. You got Lightfields, you did Endeavour, and Beecham House. Now, how was that? How was the change in that, like all of those different roles? Did you
Oh,
still get?
so that
Did you still feel the nerves that you felt auditioning for those that you did when you were younger, or did you kind of feel that no, I'm a bit of a pro at this now?
um auditioning, no, not really. I don't really get nervous in auditions anymore.
Mm,
That went away quite quickly. Unless it's something that I really, really want,
mm,
and I'm, you know, that I think there's only really been one thing that has really got me nervous that I've auditioned for in the last probably 5 years.
mm.
Uh, and I was so nervous for that audition that I couldn't eat for like 3 days beforehand because I just was
Oh,
too angsty.
yeah.
Didn't get it. um, but
What
but
was
yeah,
it?
normally what was it?
Yeah.
It was normal people.
Oh,
The yeah,
that, but
I,
it's
I I've really there are a few things I've ever wanted as much as that part. Um, but whatever, it's fine. Not bitter about it.
but it means
And she was
something.
fantastic, actually, the girl who got it. So yeah, I mean, they definitely had reasons behind that decision, which were right. But going into the jobs, I I do always get nervous
Mm,
starting a job because um, I feel like just as soon as I get cast, I get like imposter syndrome, and like I shouldn't be here. They've made a mistake, and then I start to kind of psych myself out. But and then normally I get over it by the time we
overcome that?
start filming.
How do you overcome? How do you overcome that of feeling not good enough to be there?
Um, I think I don't really know how I overcome it. I think usually it just kind of goes away by itself, which is good. But um, I think remembering that probably most people feel that way.
Mm,
That if they don't, they might be the people in the cast that I don't get on with. So
yeah, yeah.
I think it's actually imposter syndrome is incredibly common,
Mm,
but particularly in the film industry.
mm. I
Yeah, I
think,
don't know. I think once you get into a place where you're like putting a costume on and you've got your hair and makeup and you actually feel like, oh, okay, I'm in this role now. Like uh, I'm literally walking in their shoes.
yeah,
You let go of the parts of yourself that are holding you back a
yeah.
little bit.
I think
Um,
I'm glad you said that actually, because I think that's so important for people watching to see that that does happen. And even with the career that you've got behind you, you still say that you do feel like that on jobs. And I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, especially in everyday life, but especially in the industry that we're in. We put
mm,
so much pressure on ourselves, thinking, "Okay, I've got the job, but now, and how am I gonna?" And it's like you just got to stop and breathe and think, "I've made it here. I'm worthy of this place. Now I'm gonna absolutely fucking smash it." And
mm,
but it is that it's so important, and I'm really thankful for you for being open about that, because like you said, some people don't talk about that because some people are like, oh no, I get on the job and I do the job and it's great, and it's actually like it isn't all song and dance. There is so much that comes with being in a role and being in the industry that you
yeah,
don't always want to talk about. Like I think that's yeah,
yeah. I think it's good as well just to make friends. Like I think that's how I kind of overcome that stuff is to just try and make friends with as many people as I can so that I feel like I'm in a safe environment and that there are people who've
yeah,
got my back.
yeah. Oh, I love that. It's like a little family, isn't it? Um, Okay, before we start to wrap up, I've got a few more things for you. This is a really broad question and it is a difficult question. But throughout your whole career, what if you can pick? Oh, you froze. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you're back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are we back?
Oh, we're back. We're back.
We're
I
back.
was really
We're back
worried
in the
then.
room.
I was like, what do we do?
I was like, oh no.
Um,
Yeah, just before we wrap up, I just want to ask, this is quite a broad question, but throughout
okay.
your whole career, if you
Mm.
can pick only one, what would be your favourite memory from the start of your acting career to where you are now?
I mean, that's a massive question. I really feel I've been so incredibly fortunate
Mm,
to have had the career that I've had and the experience that I've had, and to have worked with so many fantastic people.
mm,
Um, I think I feel particularly grateful to have worked with John Hurt. That's a real highlight for me. Um, and also, he once told me I looked very sexy, which is a
mm.
compliment I'll carry with me until the day I die. um,
Love
but
that.
I think actually the moment that sprung to mind when you asked the question was when I was doing I was doing A Streetcar Named Desire, and I played Stella,
Mm,
and the guy who played Stanley, his name's Stuart Clark, he was just phenomenal. He was so perfect in that role, and I felt like we had a great energy on stage, and you know, I felt like we'd really kind of come into our own through the rehearsal process.
mm.
But there was one scene in the second act that just never sat right with me. It never really clicked. And then one night, just kind of out of nowhere, um, he we'd previously kind of played it as an argument, but on this one night, he took me
Mm.
by the hand and like delivered his lines in a way that was really gentle, and like he was really sorry to be things to me, and it totally shifted the way that I was responding to him, and so my performance became
Yeah.
entirely different as well. And I remember like thinking as we were doing it, going, this is about, this feeling right now of
Yeah.
going, oh my god, we've got it right. That was everything. That's why I do this job, and it was so
Wow.
magical. And I remember like coming out of the scene, like shaking and just hugging him and being like, we fucking did it, we did it, and it was perfect. And he was like,
Oh.
I know, shame we've only got 2 more shows. And I was like, oh no. But it was,
Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
it was like that feeling when when something just clicks into place and you're like,
Yeah.
we've got it. It's,
Mm.
yeah, nothing
That's a good
compares.
answer. I
It's the
like.
best job.
That's really. Yeah, that's a really nice memory. Okay, just before we go, last one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Tell me three things, quick fire, three things that you would tell your younger self before stepping into the industry.
um Always listen to your mum and be grateful for her. uh, Always put the work first. Don't get
Mm,
caught up in all the petty bullshit that comes with it. Put the work first. And the third one, uh, eat. Eat, girl. They're gonna tell you you're fat, but keep fucking eating. That would
yes,
be my thing.
yes, 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 yes. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for tonight. I've absolutely loved talking to you. And I've learnt so much about you. So thank you so much. Um, oh, oh, am I back? Ah.
I don't know if I'm
Oh,
frozen.
oh, oh. Are you there? Dun dun dun. I think you might. Oh,
Oh
you're back. Are you
gosh, she's
back?
come back. Oh yeah,
Are you
okay,
back?
you're back.
Yes, you're back.
I get so stressed like
Okay.
technical stuff.
Oh, it's technology is so annoying. But thank you so much, everyone watching. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I will be back next week. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna end this, guy.